everyone, welcome back to CMD and another video. You join me back here in the M2 competition following on from the Ohlins install. If you haven't seen that video and what we got up to at Suspension Secrets a couple of weeks ago, go and check that out. I'll put that in a link somewhere. And while you're checking that out, if you'd like to and you don't mind, feel free, please check out the new range of t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters available at Control and Shift. Brand new range, put a link in the description somewhere down there. At the end of the install video, due to low light being lost and my general inability to convey my initial thoughts, I sort of cut that short. The original plan was to give you full feedback on what I found straight away, but the reality is that I'm just not a competent enough driver and communicator all in one. What a combination to try and do a channel like this, to convey that to you accurately. And I was really keen to, because one of my biggest gripes when I've researched the Ohlins is that lots of people do videos on having them installed and then do an initial drive straight away and don't tell you a huge amount apart from have a great big beaming smile on their face. Now, what I will say before I go any further is, having had that experience, I completely understand. It's also worth mentioning that whilst I was doing my original research, there are lots of videos on YouTube, which again I'll try and reference down below, but there's also some really good articles. The best one I found was on Evo magazine, where they put Ohlins onto a Renault Megane RS. But what I will say is, reading about it and experiencing it are two very different things. I've also had a lot of help from people on social media who are running the same setup. There's too many of you to mention, but if you have been in touch, thank you very much for your input. It's been greatly welcomed. I can't not mention Christian Glide, who gave me a huge amount of input and articulated how he finds them on a day-to-day basis way better than I ever could. So Christian, if you're out there and watching, thank you very much, man. That's very helpful and very awesome. I pay your royalties, but I don't get them. They go to charity, so we'll call it quits. So my aim for this video is to really get an accurate description across of what these are like to live with on a daily basis. Before I do that, I need to explain what I'm running on this car, because again, it has an impact. So I'm on Michelin Alpine tyres, winters. They've got a bigger, stiffer sidewall, and that does have an effect on ride. Even on stock setup, that made a difference. I wouldn't say as bad as it gets, but this is as harsh as it gets, certainly for that setup. The reason I would point that out as well is that I have run this setup on the PS4Ss, the Michelins, just for a day or two, so that I could understand what effect, if any, that would have on ride, handling, etc. I'm a huge fan of the Michelin PS4Ss. You can blame Joe Achilles for that, but they do ride lovely, softer tyre wall. And you might say, why come off those, Dale? But the reality is, we are here in the UK. As you have no doubt already seen, it has snowed, is snowing, and the Alpines are just number one for the job, in my opinion. Initially, I thought it was only at low speeds. On all speeds, but predominantly at low speeds, is that the ride is firmer. And the ride's firmer throughout, but at low speeds you notice it more. That wasn't supposed to happen. You notice it because you get more feedback through both steering wheel, but also the seat. You know, you feel a lot more of what's going on, and that's not amazing for driving through town. It's a firmer ride, but it's not bad. It's not unbearable. I can live with it very easily. Let's not forget as well, this is an M car. I didn't buy it to be a comfortable cruiser. I'm aware that there is going to have to be some compromise if you want a good level of road handling performance, because, you know, when you want to push on, give it the beans, go around a corner fast, casing point, in the winter, etc. I want it to be able to cope with that. And it might sound like a gripe, but it's really not. I went into this eyes wide open. I think, however, it's really important to convey that to you, because when I did my own research on these sorts of things, I didn't get this feedback, and what I really want to know is, you know, how firm is the ride? The answer is firmer. The car is a stiffer setup, so you will feel more of a bad road, be that in a town or something that's highly undulated, especially if you're doing sort of 30 mile an hour. I'm doing 27 mile an hour on a country lane. It's a smooth one, feels lovely, not getting anything. When it starts to undulate, you're aware of it. I think it's important feedback for you to hear if you are considering this, because if I compare this to my eye back setup, I think that is arguably a better day-to-day road setup than the Ohlins. I think it's just a little bit more compliant. You don't get everything through the car, you don't feel the whole car fidget around. And so actually, if you're after just a good daily driver that you're not going to track, I think you can't go better than something like the iBack springs and spacers. The only other thing I can think of that's a negative, that the dampness and setup is manually adjustable only, so you can't adjust these without going under the car and opening bonnets and tinkering. Again, important point, when you do your research, you'll notice there are other setups available that are even electronically adjustable, subject to how much you think you want to tinker with them. Only points I can really make out that some people might not like: if you're going to daily the car ride, you might find a bit too firm. I don't, but someone else might. And adjustment is manual. Let's get to the good stuff, because that is a far longer, far more interesting list of feedback that I want to give you. Even in these conditions in the UK, I'm currently driving through sleet, it's a far more involved, responsive, manageable, faster, charismatic performance car. And I'm going to get straight to the point. I'm completely blown away by the experience. So let's give you some information, let's put some meat on the bone, and let's talk about the car's behaviour, because that's really what this is all about. The traction is so much easier to find and so much more obtainable. You feel like you can use more of the car more of the time, and that's never a bad thing in an M car. You can be far more confident when you step on that pedal that you're not going to light up the traction control light or spin the wheels if you're riding around with DSC off. And instead of feathering the throttle, case in point, you can just stamp on it and the car will find the grip far better, so much better than it used to. It's just wow. I'm certainly benefiting from additional predictability and a more intuitive feel that you get through wheel and seat, which gives me license to enjoy the car more. But because of that, don't think the car's lost its character. If anything, I would argue to the contrary. I think it's added to the character. Part of the enjoyment of this car, and the reason a lot of people will own them, is that it has got a fun factor that lots of people obviously enjoy, myself included. I would define it as an enhancement to the personality. It suits the car's character. It's almost like it's what the car needed all along. I understand why the M Division don't, but my God, they really, really should. It's the equivalent of your wife, life partner having a beauty treatment. I'm trying to think of beauty treatments. What is there? Hair, makeup. That costs a lot, by the way, makeup. Eyelashes, eyebrows, microblading. Is that a thing? Waxing, Botox, lip fillers. In fairness, the Ohlins would probably cost you less than all of that. Those things don't change the person, it's still the same, they're enhancements. And that's what the Ohlins have done to the M2 competition. They have enhanced its personality and looks. Aesthetically, it sits a bit lower. Ride height is lovely. I forgot to mention, settings wise, I am right in the middle of bump and rebound, referred to as the Hovis setting, best of both. You could argue that is maybe a little bit focused for road use. So far, I've found it absolutely spot on. This is getting ready for track use, all being well, fingers crossed, in the coming months. And then for the B-road blasting in the meantime, I think that sits very nice with the car's character. No doubt we'll do some messing around with it in the coming months as I'm sort of finding my feet with it. You can soften them off slightly, and I might give that a try at some point when I know I haven't got track days coming along. For now, I'm really happy in that sort of middle ground. It gives me good focus driving when I need to, and a compromised daily ride that is certainly not unlivable in the meantime, which I'm more than happy with. Right then, so I think it's time to summarise. So the important question, I think, is would I recommend the Ohlins to someone else? I think that depends on what you're trying to achieve and how you use the car. If you use it as a daily driver, you never intend to track it, and a large majority of your time spent in the car is like this, cruising, no, No, I don't think I would. I don't think you get the value for money, pound for punch, and I don't think it's a big enough leap on as a daily driver to the iBack spring and spacers, or even the stock setup. You know, if you're aesthetically after a change, the iBacks will do that, and you'll get a slightly more compliant ride. From stock, you know, the car handles well. Let's not pretend it's a good car out of the box. However, if you are looking to improve enjoyment and drivability, make the car faster, better handling and traction, and you want to give it a bit of a personality enhancement, my word, yeah, I would. So far, I'm blown away, absolutely blown away. I set out to make this video to provide feedback on this setup, as I really struggled to find something on YouTube that did it accurately. So in that vein, I hope I've done so, and I hope it's been useful for you guys while you're doing your own research into these things. But this is my take, and these were my choices, and there are lots of other options out there. So what I'd really like to hear in the comment section below is what other options you have looked into. If you have the Ohlins already, what you've experienced. If you have a different setup, how you found that in comparison to what we've mentioned on today's video. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I'll come back to you as quickly as I can. But in the meantime, national speed limit sign. I've got some fun to have. For those of you who are new to the channel, Car Man Dad is in the process of becoming a 100% non-for-profit charity. That means every view, like, subscription, share, all the ad revenue that we generate, and any proceeds that come from clothing sales, like this sweater from controlandshift.com, all go 100% into the pot. With that in mind, please remember to like and subscribe. If you're a regular viewer, thank you so much for the support so far. It has been genuinely overwhelming and means the world. I can't wait to show you what we're going to get up to in helping other people moving forward. So thank you so much. It means a lot, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Cheers.